This video does not diagnose medical conditions. Any health topics mentioned are unproven claims, shared only for general discussion purposes.
We're gonna have a good time, gonna have a good time. Be so legendary. Sherry's got you feeling good.
And now, your host, Sherry Shepherd.
This is not just another celebrity breakup people scroll past and forget. It is the moment when silence finally cracked, and a carefully guarded public image began to fall apart in front of everyone. After the separation, Teyana Taylor did not simply disappear or move on quietly. She has allegedly shared a very different story about the relationship, one she says was shaped by control, fear, and constant emotional pressure. At the center of these claims is actor Aaron Pierre. To the public, they looked flawless together, appearing confident, happy, and untouchable on red carpets and online. According to Teyana, that picture was misleading and covered behavior she now describes as deeply troubling. She claims her actions were closely watched, her decisions questioned, and her sense of freedom slowly taken away. What once felt like love reportedly shifted into dominance, and what seemed protective became restrictive. She also alleges discovering private messages and overlapping relationships, which shattered her trust. When these issues were confronted, the emotional strain allegedly grew worse, leaving her exhausted and isolated. Now she is choosing honesty over silence, and her story is spreading fast because it challenges what fans believed and forces difficult conversations about power, truth, and image.
This character means so much to me. It's a character that radiates, for me, identity and strength, charisma, and class. And I really want to do my best to serve this character and honor this character.
For this album, you made a short film that starred this man. Are there any cons to working with your partner?
Any cons? I think the only con is that I couldn't just take.
Sometimes the most damaging stories do not arrive with loud headlines or sudden chaos. They unfold quietly, piece by piece, hidden in awkward pauses, forced smiles, and moments that feel off but are easy to ignore. This is one of those stories. It did not begin with outrage or scandal. It began with praise, admiration, and a picture that looked perfect from the outside. Red carpet appearances, confident poses, and a relationship that seemed solid to anyone watching. Yet, according to accounts now circulating, something very different was happening away from the spotlight. For a long time, the public image of Teyana Taylor and Aaron Pierre appeared carefully maintained. Everything suggested balance and mutual respect. Their chemistry looked natural, and their silence was taken as a sign of peace. But silence, many now believe, was not calm. It was a warning that went unnoticed. People close to the situation claim the relationship did not collapse overnight. Instead, it weakened slowly in ways that were easy to miss and hard to explain. What first looked like care was allegedly framed through concern. Questions sounded thoughtful. Limits felt protective. Over time, though, that tone reportedly changed. According to sources familiar with Teyana's experience, concern shifted into constant checking. Support became resistance. Independence was no longer encouraged and instead treated as something suspicious. Decisions were questioned again and again, and gradually, she reportedly felt as though permission was required rather than partnership offered. Those close to her say disagreements rarely stayed small. One issue often turned into many, circling back to trust, authority, and control. Who she talked to, where she went, how visible she could be, and how much she worked allegedly became points of tension. None of this happened in public. There were no obvious signs, no dramatic scenes. That, sources say, is why it lasted as long as it did. In an industry where image holds power, maintaining appearances reportedly added another layer of pressure. As time passed, people around Teyana began noticing changes. Her energy seemed different. She appeared tired, guarded, and emotionally distant in private moments. Friends sensed a weight that followed her even when cameras were gone. When asked, she gave vague answers, often brushing off concerns. The image remained untouched, even as cracks quietly formed behind it. Eventually, according to reports, inconsistencies began to surface. Stories did not line up. Explanations felt incomplete. Private conversations came to light that raised more questions than comfort. When these issues were addressed, responses were reportedly defensive rather than reassuring. That was when trust began to weaken. Apologies followed arguments. Promises followed tension. Brief moments of warmth appeared just often enough to create confusion about leaving. Sources describe this cycle as draining, especially for someone trying to hold on to hope while doubting their own instincts. Allegations later emerged suggesting the involvement of other women during the relationship. According to those accounts, this was not based on rumors but on information that directly contradicted what Teyana had been told. The discovery allegedly came with denial at first, then anger. Confrontations did not bring clarity. Instead, emotions reportedly intensified, and the situation began to feel unstable. At that point, fear allegedly entered quietly. Not the kind seen in dramatic scenes, but the subtle kind that changes how you speak and think. The kind that keeps you replaying conversations at night. The kind that makes silence feel easier than explanation. Sources claim her emotional health suffered during this period. Exhaustion became constant, and stability slowly faded. To the public, she still appeared composed. Privately, those close to her say she was struggling. The breaking point did not come from one single moment. It came when the weight became too heavy to carry, when staying silent no longer felt safer than leaving. According to insiders, the breakup was an act of self-preservation. It was not fueled by anger but by survival. Even after the separation, reactions were mixed. Support met doubt. Sympathy clashed with denial. Some demanded proof, while others recognized familiar patterns. As more fragments of her experience surfaced, the conversation grew louder. This was no longer just a breakup. It became a public reckoning, forcing people to question how many similar stories remain hidden behind polished images. With distance, sources say Teyana began reflecting on moments she once dismissed. Conversations that felt uncomfortable. Rules that were never spoken but always enforced. What once felt confusing began to make sense in hindsight. Meanwhile, Aaron Pierre remained publicly silent, a choice interpreted in many ways. Online, fans rewatched old clips, analyzed body language, and searched for signs they believed they had missed. According to insiders, Teyana did not initially plan to speak out. She hoped time and space would allow healing in private. But as old wounds resurfaced and narratives continued to form without her voice, that changed. At that stage, it was no longer about heartbreak. It was about owning her truth. And as these allegations continue to circulate, they resonate because many recognize the patterns. The story is still unfolding, and the fallout has only begun. What made this situation especially intense was the alleged habit of avoiding responsibility. According to people close to Teyana, whenever she raised concerns, those worries were often brushed off as exaggerations. Her pain was reportedly downplayed, and accountability was shifted away from where it belonged. This pattern, sources say, caused deeper emotional harm than open arguments ever could. Being told that your feelings are too much or misplaced can slowly break down confidence and clarity, leaving a person questioning their own reality. As the story continued, discussions around possible infidelity surfaced again. Online reports suggested that overlapping relationships may not have been rare moments, but part of a repeated behavior. Whether these claims are ever proven or not, they struck a chord because they matched what Teyana allegedly experienced near the end of the relationship. There was secrecy, distance, and a growing emotional gap. For some observers, betrayal explained why everything fell apart. For others, it simply revealed cracks that were already there. At that point, the conversation shifted. People stopped focusing on curiosity and began demanding accountability. The question changed from what happened to why it was allowed to continue for so long. That shift also placed pressure on an industry that often rewards silence and polished images instead of honesty. Sources say Teyana struggled deeply with the choice to speak. She knew that women who disrupt carefully managed stories often face harsh backlash. Fear of being doubted lingered. Fear of retaliation existed. Still, the fear of staying silent eventually became heavier than both. In moments described as emotionally raw, Teyana reportedly admitted that protecting an image had cost her more than telling the truth ever could. That realization marked a turning point. Stories like this are tragic not only because of what allegedly happened, but because of how long it took to be recognized as harmful. Control disguised as care is hard to see while living inside it. Manipulation framed as love rarely looks dangerous at first. Often, the damage is only clear once distance creates perspective. As details spread, reactions became divided. Some accused Teyana of shaping a narrative. Others accused critics of dismissing her experience. Many survivors of similar dynamics spoke up, saying the patterns felt painfully familiar. The internet amplified every angle, every opinion, every assumption. Through all the noise, one thing stood out. No clear response directly addressed the core of the allegations. Silence remained, and in this context, silence carried meaning. Legal experts reminded the public that a lack of lawsuits does not mean a lack of harm. Psychologists explained how emotional abuse often leaves no visible proof but lasting effects. Cultural commentators questioned why controlling behavior is so often excused when paired with charm and success. Throughout it all, Teyana reportedly stayed calm and measured. There were no dramatic speeches, only steady acknowledgement that something deeply wrong had occurred. By this stage, the story had moved far beyond romance. It crossed from gossip into consequence. Observers noted that patterns were becoming harder to ignore. Language evolved. What was once called drama became described as psychological erosion. With every shift in framing, the seriousness increased. For Teyana, the aftermath reportedly felt less like relief and more like exposure. Public truth-telling brought its own pain. Every silence was analyzed. Every past smile was reinterpreted. Meanwhile, Aaron Pierre remained distant from direct engagement. Some viewed that as restraint. Others saw avoidance. Analysts reminded audiences that allegations are not verdicts. Yet silence does not erase impact. Experts pointed out how prolonged emotional stress often leaves behind confusion, guilt, and grief. Healing sources say was uneven. Some days felt lighter. Others reopened old wounds. In the end, this story matters not because it trended, but because it sounds believable. It reflects patterns many recognize. Control hidden as concern. Isolation presented as loyalty. Silence rewarded until it becomes unbearable. This was not just a breakup. It was a slow collapse that cost peace. And once peace is gone, no image is worth protecting.